friends. Today I'll be reading to you from the book of Judges, chapter 6, verse 11 through 16. And I'm reading to you from the New Revised, the Standard Version of the Bible. It says, "Now the angel of the Lord came and sat under the oak at Ophrah, which belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, as his son Gideon was beating out wheat in the winepress to hide it from the Midianites. The angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, 'The Lord is with you, you mighty warrior.' Gideon answered him, 'But sir, if the Lord is with us, why then has all this happened to us? And where are all his wonderful deeds that our ancestors recounted to us, saying, did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt? But now the Lord has cast us off and given us into the hand of Midian.' Then the Lord turned to him and said, 'Go in this might of yours and deliver Israel from the hand of Midian. I hereby commission you.' He responded, 'But sir, how can I deliver Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family.' The Lord said to him, 'But I will be with you, and you shall strike down the Midianites, every one of them.'" The Bible text opens up to a character by the name of Gideon. If this is the first time you're hearing about this character, don't worry, you're not alone. It's because we often focus on the more popular characters in the Bible, like Abraham, Moses, and the major prophets like Isaiah and Jeremiah. But Gideon's story is as relevant as Moses and Jeremiah's. Gideon's story can be found in the book of Judges, a book we don't often read from or study. So let's get an idea of what's happening in the book of Judges. Judges has 21 chapters, and it's a very interesting read. You can get through the book in a few days, and I encourage you to read it. You'll find that it's one of the most exciting, colorful, and also disturbing books in the Bible. It's filled with themes of power, greed, and sex. But apart from its intrigue, the book of Judges portrays a major transition in the biblical story of the people of Israel. It was the time when the judges, warrior rulers, ruled over the people. This was before they had kings. Eventually, 12 judges ruled at different times, 11 men and 1 woman. Her name was Deborah. Gideon plays a particularly important role in the story of Judges. By the time we get to the chapter that we read today, chapter 6, the people of Israel are under attack by the Midianites, the Amalekites, and the people of the east. These groups were longtime enemies of Israel, and the Israelites had to hide from their enemies to preserve their lives. But they couldn't hide their crops, and so their crops were destroyed by their enemies, leaving them hungry and impoverished. But God was not about to let God's people perish. They were not going to be destroyed. So here's what happens. The angel of the Lord, which in the Old Testament or Hebrew Bible is actually the presence of God, appears to Gideon one day when he was beating out wheat. And the angel of the Lord and Gideon had a conversation. Basically, Gideon was asking, if the Lord is with the people, why are they suffering like this? Then the angel commissions Gideon, saying, "Go with your might, your strength, and deliver Israel." But in typical fashion, listen to what Gideon says. He says, "Me? You want me to deliver Israel? How can I do that when my people are the weakest and I am the least in my family?" And the angel or God responded by saying, "I will be with you." After this story, chapter 7 and 8 of Judges recount how Gideon led an army and defeated their enemies. And the people, his people, asked him to rule over them, to be one of their judges. Gideon's story is an important one for us today. There are many different layers to this story. God's promise to the people is still intact. This promise is that God will look out for God's people. And the other point is that God continues to show up in unexpected places in order to do incredible things. God's promise continues through ordinary people today. People who don't appear to have any special ability, but through God's power and people's willingness, extraordinary things are accomplished. Gideon was chosen and commissioned for a specific task, and through God's power, he moved the story of his people along and went on to rule as one of Israel's greatest judges. But let's go back to Gideon's initial response for a moment as we consider our own stories. Gideon tells the angel of the Lord that he was not from a good family and that he was the least in his family. Recall for a moment the other people God spoke to in the Bible. Do you remember what Moses said? He said to God, "I can't speak." And God said to him, "I will give you the words." Jeremiah said that he was too young. And God said, "I will equip you and give you all you need." Each one of us hearing this today can relate in one way or another. We've also said those things, that I can't go to college, I don't have what it takes. Or I can't serve on the PTA, I'm not a leader. Or I'm not applying for that job, I'm not good enough. Many of us think that we don't have what it takes, or that we don't belong in certain places and positions. We've had to win battles within ourselves and get over the stereotypes that people have placed on us. Because we didn't go to an Ivy League school, or because we're female, or because we're a minority. But you know what? God is bigger than our opinion of ourselves, and bigger than what other people think and feel about us. With God, anything and everything is possible. If we keep an open mind and heart, work hard, and give our best, God can make things happen. Many of you listening to me today had obstacles and challenges to overcome, and still do. But many of you have also accomplished great things in spite of those challenges. It doesn't matter where we came from or who our family is, because God is able to work in and through us to accomplish great things. We all love our athletes and we admire them greatly. And I know athletes and teams have an extremely loyal fan base. And it's all about being in the field or on the court. But a lot of our athletes have very inspiring stories as well. One of those people is LeBron James. I recently read his story and learned that he had to overcome many challenges in his life. LeBron's mom was only 16 when she had him, and she raised him on her own. When he was growing up, life was often a struggle for his family, and they had to move from apartment to apartment while his mother struggled to find steady work. She eventually thought he would be better off with a more stable family environment, and she allowed him to move in with the family of Frank Walker, a local youth coach, who introduced him to basketball when he was 9 years old. When he was a teenager, Nike signed LeBron to a $90 million endorsement contract. They signed him to this contract while he was still in high school and before he ever stepped foot on an NBA professional court. At that time, when Nike looked at LeBron, they didn't only see the high school athlete he was, they also saw the superstar that LeBron could be. LeBron worked hard, believed in himself, and made the game his life. Nike endorsed him because of his potential. Today, he is also impacting humanity by helping thousands of kids reach their potential through his charities. He now sees what others can become. He overcame, and now he's helping others overcome. God knows each one of us. God knows our potential, and God knows who we can become. Today, embrace who you are. Embrace the family you come from. Embrace how you look. And embrace your true potential, because God has already embraced you and loves you for you. Believe in yourself. Believe in God's power in your life, and God will help you overcome. The grass withers and the flower fades, but the word of the Lord would abide forever. Have a blessed and wonderful day. Goodbye for now.